So let's talk about representation as far as you having management or an agent. How would you navigate somebody through that?
You have to find somebody that is like-minded first and foremost, whether that's a manager or an agent. Somebody that's really going to believe in you, and somebody that's just not throwing your career up against the wall and basically seeing what's going to stick. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of agents
Right, and it's really
do.
important to know that when you get an agent, that it's not about quality sometimes with them, it's about quantity.
Absolutely.
They're trying to keep their lights on.
Yeah.
They're trying to pay their bills.
Yeah.
Are you going to book work that they're going to get something from it?
Right,
That's what they want to know. I
Right,
mean, and
right.
it's a business. It's about money. It's not,
Yeah,
you know.
and they really don't care, what your objective is
Right.
or the quality of work that you want to do.
Right.
So take your time.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them do
Exactly.
invest in you and really nurture you and grow you as an artist, but they're doing what they do. They're selling actors, and they're trying to make their monthly nut.
Absolutely. So it's important that you know who you're hitching your wagon to. You may even, end up with an agent that really doesn't care about you as far as, what your overall goal is and things. But you got to use them too.
Yes.
Use them as a stepping stone to your next platform.
Yes. And it's always better to have an agent, to get an agent, than to
Right.
let go of that agent and now you can't get
Exactly.
Not that I know anything about.
Yeah. I just spent 8 years without an agent. But it wasn't because I couldn't get one. It was about me waiting for the right one. And I had just done enough work, after 47 years in this business, that I said, you know what? I'm good where I am right now. I'm good producing my own projects, developing films that I want to do for the future. It's really important for me to align myself with somebody that's going to understand that and really appreciate that. And a friend of mine that I've known forever, he's over at a company called APA. He and I have started working together.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We love
So-
APA.
And I'm really happy, with the relationship that he and I have.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
When I met you, you had a good support system. You were connected with a lot of young artists, a
Right.
lot of young actors.
Right.
How did that start?
I was part of a theater company at the time called Mirrors. And so we toured around Los Angeles and, various other places. And I was able to meet a lot of, people in the industry through that opportunity. And we also did a lot of work over at the Inner City Cultural Center.
Oh,
back in the
yes.
day,
A most important place
which
at that
was
time.
a hub for everybody. Through that opportunity, we just continued to, build relationships, support one another, push one another, motivate one another. Because, at the time, it was rough back then.
Yes, it was rough, but you also were able to get some good parts because you were in 21 Jump Street, you did Booker. I mean, you were working, you were getting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You weren't no joke.
Yeah, but there was some lean times in between there
But I
too.
think that's for all actors.
yeah,
I mean, I think
yeah.
we all go through that. Can I get $1, please?
Right. I always like to say that, for that particular time, I took the best of some of the worst work out there. Not that, 21 Jump Street or Booker was in that category, but there wasn't a lot of varied opportunities, so to speak.
For young black men.
Exactly. It was...
Or Latina women.
Exactly. Gangbanger number 1.
That's right.
Hood urchin over here number
That's
2.
right. I did them all. I know.
But, hey, we do what we had to do to continue the process. And, as time went on, I started to turn some corners and get the types of roles that I wanted to do.
What is some advice that you would give a young black actor starting out in Hollywood from all the experience and information that you've gotten? How would you guide that actor?
No matter what the industry is selling you, that there's definitely 2 distinct Hollywoods. There's white Hollywood and there's black Hollywood. It's okay to approach it from a perspective that you are going to break down barriers regardless of what you're challenged by. Please keep that in mind. Keep that in your heart. But just know that the 2 do exist. And so a lot of the opportunities that you'll see your white counterparts getting will be a lot harder for you to get. And just because, a lot of places are selling quote unquote diversity now, a lot of it's just talk. And so you have to really get into the underbelly of what's really going on and surround yourself with good people that are going to keep you inspired. Richard Lawson has a fantastic workshop, right here in Hollywood.
North Hollywood,
Yeah.
yes.
He's doing great things.
Yes, and he also has a theater, so that elevates what
Right.
he's doing. Because
Absolutely.
he's not waiting. Another
No.
one who's not waiting,
No.
they're putting on productions and doing all kind of wonderful things.
Yeah, and inspiring folks.
Yes, yes.
And creating a community where you can go like we had back in the day with the
Inner City Cultural Center.
Yeah. Be focused, and be strong. Because it's going to take all of that and then some. But when you respect the craft and you put the work in, know that you'll get your opportunity, but be ready for it.
Guess what? I've got this fabulous little bundle just for you because you are a fabulous actor. I got it for you. So what do I got for you? Let me tell you what I got for you. I got the PR cheat sheet, which every actor needs. You need to know how to do your own PR until you get that job where you can pay for a PR person. Then I have the 12-step audition. That's another cheat sheet. Sometimes you get freaked out at auditions and you don't know what to do. Well, my 12-step audition cheat sheet will help you and guarantee that you will slam your audition every time. And the third thing I got for you is the casting sites. I have a list of casting sites so you can go and just submit yourself for that next big part. How does that sound? It sounds good, doesn't it? So take us through the process of what a producer does.
Everything that the director needs to have done to keep a set moving smoothly. You want to make sure that your crew is happy. You want to make sure that your actors are happy. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need in place by the time you get ready to start production. You're the front line for any hiccups that happen along the way. I'd like to think that while the director has everything, to focus on in front of the camera, that we're the ones behind the camera that's keeping everything smoothly and focused on that.
You're also overseeing the departments,
Absolutely.
the different departments, and you're also the person in charge of hiring the departments.
Right. And making sure that, everybody is on point.
As producer, you did pre-production, production, and you handled post as well.
Absolutely.
So you took it from beginning to end.
Right.
What made you decide that you wanted to start producing?
Lack of work.
Okay.
And lack of the type of work that I wanted to do. I not only wanted to create opportunities for myself, but also for the actors whose work that I admired. I started writing. I started attaching myself to projects that people were trying to get made. From that point on, I never looked back and just started grinding.
So what was the first film you did on your own?
Well, I worked with Bobby Martis on a documentary. It was about Katrina.
Okay.
And a lot of the situations that took place down there. I read a really good film called Kings of the Evening that I ended up producing and starring in.
Who wrote it?
Andrew Jones and his dad, Paige Jones, wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a phenomenal script. It was something that, I knew I had to be a part of. After reading the script, I told my agent, I said, hey, I'd like to take a meeting with them. He was like, well, if you don't audition, you're not going to get the part. Because I wasn't attached as a producer, or they didn't even know me at the time.
How did you get your hands on the script?
He got the script for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I read it, and like I said, I instantly fell in love with it. But I told him that I wanted to set up a meeting, and go in and have a chance to just sit down and talk to them, as opposed to going in and auditioning. A lot of times, Hollywood being what it is, especially as far as people of color are concerned, when it comes to evolving, we don't get the same appreciation as far as how we are approached for different projects. And I told him, I said, I want to sit down and talk to them and, just let them get to know who I am, figure out if we'd be a right fit for one another. And so he was like, well, if you don't audition, you're not going to get the part. And so I said, never mind, I'll go in and I'll handle it. I went in and they handed me my sides, and I went in the room with two other actors at the time. And they were like, okay, so you guys are ready? And I'm like, no. The director was sitting there, and I said, I need to talk to you for a moment. Can you and I step outside? And when we stepped outside, I handed him my reel and my resume. I said, I'm not here to audition for you today. I can help you get this film made. I really want to be a part of it. I love the material. And if you're interested, let's talk. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. He and I sat down, we talked. At the end of our meeting, he said, what do you want out of the project? I said, I want to produce it with you, and I'd love to have one of the lead roles in it. And from that point on, we never looked back. And
how long did it take you to get it made once you guys connected?
That was a process. A year, maybe a year and a half after we...
Oh, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
But the hustle, Paige Jones, which is Andrew's father, his dad ended up actually EPing the project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he took a hit for us
Wow.
to get this project made.
Wow.
Overall, it was a 4-year journey.
Okay.
You know, but it was one of those things that the film never let us down. And it was something that we both passionately believed in. And we wanted to create a different avenue in terms of not only the content, but also the ability for the actors to really do some of the work that we knew that they were capable of doing.
It's also a period piece, which is difficult sometimes to get funding for and get done. But you had a period piece. You also had some fabulous actors in it.
Thank you.
You had Glenn Turman in it. You had Lynn Whitfield.
Bruce McGill, James Russo, Stephen Williams, Clyde Jones, you know, a number of really talented actors that I've admired for years. I wanted to give them the same opportunity that I had been looking for. You know, I invited everybody to come and play. And so if you want to get the DVD, it's not hard to find. Just Google Kings of the Evening.
Excellent. Excellent. So after you did that, what was your next project?
I formed my company after that. And basically, I just started looking for really good material. Another filmmaker whose work that I had admired for quite some time, Craig Ross Jr., had created an idea for a series called Monogamy.
Okay, so Monogamy is a series, not a film. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's about 4 couples who basically take part in this experiment where they exchange mates, and some will make it and some won't.
Oh, Lord.
And it's not a reality show. It's actually a drama.
Right. And you are also in the 5th Ward.
Yes. The 5th Ward is similar to a great show that I loved called The Wire. The 5th Ward is basically a community in Houston, Texas. It follows the slice of life of a bunch of characters.
Okay.
You know, where they've come from, where they are actually going in life. My character was just added the 2nd season. His name is Leroy Lewis.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And he is the chief of police
All
of the
right.
Houston PD. The director, Greg Carter, sent me over the sides for it. I didn't even have to look at the script after reading the sides. It was that good of a
Wow.
role. He asked me if I wanted to come and play, and I said, for this, oh yeah, I'm in.
Oh, fantastic. So what did you learn in post, and then what did you learn in distribution? Because they're 2 really complicated steps in making a movie. Or you know, any project.
Right. Post was probably the weakest link for me, because very few of us, even if we're making films, we don't really have access to that whole arena. I was able to gain a lot of knowledge, you know, going through post, as far as your digital intermediates, you know, taking film from film and actually running it through a process where it becomes digitized and then back to film again, and just the whole color correction process, the titles and things of that nature.
I produced Making the 5 Heartbeats, and you turned us on to the best post house in Los Angeles.
Thank you. The foundation.
Yes, they were amazing, and that was because of you. And what makes it even better is that it's Black owned.
Right. I've been working with them for a few years now, and I really want to make sure that we have an avenue, you know, to post-production and quality post-production. You know, a lot of people, again, like you said, you know, they really don't know the process of what it takes to take a film through the whole process. But those guys, they are available.
Yes.
And accessible.
Yes.
And what you don't know, they will definitely make sure that you have the opportunity to learn.
They're high end. They can stand toe to toe with any of the production, any of the post houses. Just superior.
And they streamline everything.
Yes.
I mean, they can get it in and get it out. You know, that was one of the most exciting things about being a part of the foundation, was that I could invite other filmmakers of color in and let them know that they had a home. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about, relationships.
But it's also very generous of you, because, you know, a lot of times people find these
Golden nuggets.
yes, and they don't want to share.
Right,
they
right,
will not.
right,
I'm
right.
sorry to hear that. And they keep
Right.
going. And they know, hey, I can lessen the load for you.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
make it
yeah,
easier.
yeah.
But that's too bad, brother. That's too bad. There's a community within the Black Hollywood
Mhm.
that is really very supportive and generous. And since I kind of started in that area
Right,
first,
right.
going into the Latino
Mhm,
community,
mhm.
they were not so generous with me. You know, they didn't
Right,
want
right.
to let me play in their reindeer games. I was like, what? I'm a nice person. What?
Yeah.
You gotta support everybody.
Right.
You don't have the luxury to say, well, that's too bad, brother.
Right,
Let me
right,
go.
right.
Because you never know when you will need it.
Absolutely.
And you gotta build that community.
Yeah.
So then you went from post.
Mhm.
You figured post out,
Mhm.
and then you went into the devil's den.
Yes, I did. I went to hell.
Yeah. So tell me what that process of distribution was like for you.
You got to do a lot of homework.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and a lot of good filmmakers and a lot of good films never see the light of day, you know, because of that aspect of
Mm-hmm.
it. Again, I'd like to say it's important for you to know who you hit your wagon to. It's important to know who the players are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why legal and agency representation is of the utmost importance. You know, you have to have a great attorney or a great representation or a great producer's rep to really make sure that you and your project ever see the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the key things that I learned as far as distribution it goes. I'm better for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having gone through the process and talk to different people who have gone through the process, get knowledge from them. One of the things that I learned when I came into the business, which pretty much kind of spoiled me at a very young age, is that on Book of Numbers, I was surrounded by filmmakers of color. I was surrounded by an African American crew as well as a cast. And so, you know, at 13, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be great.
It's all like this.
Yeah, yeah. And got to Hollywood and it wasn't, you know. So you have to find good people
Yes.
that are willing to share that information
Yes,
and that
yes.
knowledge so that you won't become obsolete or ignorant to the
Right.
game.
Right.
Again, you know, I was always able to take that spirit with me, you know, from when I was 13 throughout the arc of my career. I wanted to really help people.
It's not a black issue, a white issue, a
Right.
Latin issue. It's just about money.
Mm-hmm.
And you may get on some projects where most of the crew and stuff is white and they're fantastic. And you could get on sets where it's all run by somebody of color and they are assholes. And
Absolutely.
so it's not really
yeah,
a color
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It
yeah.
becomes a money thing
Right.
and it becomes
An
a
efficiency thing.
yes. And it becomes about how people talk to people that are working for them. Because at the end of the day is I want to be with an employer who's gonna acknowledge me,
And
who's gonna say
appreciate
that
you.
was a great job,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Not somebody say, look, this is costing money, you better hurry up.
That sounds like you really experienced that.
No,
before.
I have not. Or they run you ragged and then give you a blank timesheet, and then when I figured out what that was about, I said, I ain't signing that until you
Exactly.
fill it out, because that's not how it is.
That's not what we negotiated.
That's not. And I think it's important for filmmakers when you are trying to do a project. It doesn't matter how much money the project is taking care of your people.
Absolutely.
Just appreciating what they do for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I can make a project with $5. It's not whether I did it for $5 or not. It's how did I treat the people? Will they come back and work with me? Or did I just burn that bridge? I got the project, but now I can never go back to that group of people because I was such a shit that no one will that I worked with will work with me again.
Right.
As a producer, I think it's important that you learn to really vet people, that the community that that you are pulling from, you're pulling from people who are not only competent, but that they elevate life on the set.
No doubt.
Because
No
you're
doubt.
spending so many hours on a
Yeah.
set with people, and you could have the most talented people, but their personality is horrific, and one person can contaminate the whole crew. And if you don't get that person in time, you got mutiny.
Right. I remember a project, I won't call names, and there was an African American director who was on the show. We were shooting in Nebraska. One of the crew members was talking some smack behind the director's back, and he was within earshot, and he's a brilliant director, by the way, who I admire to this day. And he was like, get him a ticket. He's out. I mean, he immediately got him off the set and sent him home. He was not going to allow him to taint his set. It's important that you surround yourself with like-minded individuals who get your vision.
There are so many more opportunities today for filmmakers than were available when we started, because you couldn't do a project unless you raised $500,000 or
Yeah. If you even thought about becoming a filmmaker, a producer, or director, you were arrogant. It's like the nerve of you to think that you can go and play in this arena over here where the real money is. We had to break down a lot of barriers. You, Robert, and everybody else included, that was coming up back in the day. And it's just a testament to, where our hearts were.
Yes.
And what we were really trying to fulfill at the time.
Well, when you love something, you're going to see it through no matter what the pain is, right? The great thing about being a filmmaker today is that the distribution is not so closed off. Like there's so many avenues. Like there's Tug. You can start your film off having screenings in different cities if you can.
Wallet.
Yes, and for a young filmmaker who doesn't have a lot of resources or a lot of money, to me that's probably one of the best ways to get your film seen by an audience without giving it away to a distribution company. And then you don't own it.
Right.
We've been doing this game now for, myself, for the last 10, 12 years. I was very privileged to work with Robert Townsend for the last 17 years. But the first 6, 7 years, I was just watching. I was watching everything that was going on. Like, and how you make the money? Where's the money? Who's got the money? And so, we took hits, with independent films. You have these lessons you learn, and then you come back and you go, okay, now I'm going to do this. Because this is not an area that people really study. They work so hard to get the film made. And then they're like, okay, I'm just going to get distribution. And they don't understand all that goes into distribution. And the playing field has changed. It has changed enormously since we started. You would sell a film to a distributor or a studio if you made it, and then they would take it over. You would get paid, and then they would take care of the residuals and take care of all the union stuff. It's not like that anymore. They may take the film from you and give you $2 and then say, now you got to pay residuals. What?
Yeah.
You just only gave me $2. Residuals are like $500. What are you talking about? And so there are all these little pieces in distribution that filmmakers are not aware of, or they'll take your piece and then they'll add costs and add costs and add costs. You get the statement every month and you keep owing them. Well, it costs us this. And so it is important for filmmakers to know, before you take your piece to a distributor, see if you could self-distribute it yourself. The beauty of where we are in at this time is that you can get a website and sell your product on your website. You can get a Shopify account, sell your product,
market it.
That's right. You can pay a company. They have these companies now that will take your project to Amazon and iTunes and different places so that you get a percentage and there's no middleman. You at least get paid if you do the marketing and if you do the advertising and stuff. But it is a whole thing. And also filmmakers, when they do their budget, and I learned this the hard way, when you do your budget, you must also budget for marketing and advertising.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to run it in a theater,
Contingencies.
you need to know what that cost is. You know that it costs maybe between 12 and 20 grand to put a film in a theater for just 1 week. That's it. You pay them, and then whatever tickets you sell, then they give you. But you have to pay them, and then you have to bring the product in a DCP or however they want it done, and give it to them. And filmmakers are about creating, but then there's that business aspect that gets them in trouble.
Right. Even on the independent film festival circuit, you've got to have budgets to be able to fly your actors out to different screenings and premieres and press junkets, things of that nature. So, that's all the things that need to be considered when you're putting together a budget as well.
And don't forget a press person.
Right.
Because you have to have a PR company helping to promote that.
Make sure that you constantly stay involved with the process of distribution. So many filmmakers will sit back and hand their project over to a distributor thinking that they're going to take care of them and have the same type of enthusiasm about their project that they do. And they don't.
Really?
They don't. So you have to keep them accountable every step of the way. Even if you become a nuisance, it's your project. You've spent time with that project for years. Stay involved with your project.
I don't know anything about being a nuisance. I don't know about that.
No, not you, Lydia. Me either.
No,
but you know what? That's what makes a great producer. You are definitely the engine that keeps your project moving forward. So it's important that you stay involved, and to the extent that you may rub some people the wrong way, but you have got to make sure that your project gets the visibility and the opportunities that it deserves.
Right. And I think it's important that you realize this is your job and you're doing your job, and keep your dignity and be respectful of people, but know how to debate. You don't want to argue, but you do want to be able to debate and make your case, and walk away still being friendly. Maybe not friends, but that you left it without blowing up a bridge.
Right.
Because the thing to remember in show business is that it's tiny. You're gonna run into those people all the time.
Right. Unless they owe you money.
I don't see them.
Right.
But it's really important to know that show business is a very small community. There used to be this thing that 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon.
Right.
I say it's only 2 degrees.
Right.
That I could pick up the phone and call so and so, and they know Kevin Bacon.
Oh yeah.
It's really that small. Especially the Black community, the Latin community, and the Asian community, they're really tiny.
Right.
And you could say whatever you want about us not getting as many opportunities, but the reality is, because it's just a small bunch of us, that once you get through the gate, you're in, unless you do something really stupid and blow up a bridge, and then you're not in no more. But for the most part, I'd rather be a woman of color than be a blonde woman, because there's too many of them. So they really don't have so many opportunities. No, really. I don't know about you, but when I was going to acting class, I was usually the only woman of color there. And there were all these blonde, beautiful young girls, and I was like, they don't stand a chance.
Hey, I like to tell people, just stay in your lane.
Yes.
And make whatever you do the it thing.
Yes.
Whatever that is. Staying committed to not only the craft, but to your brand and creating your brand, whatever that may be.
And not letting anybody else label you another brand. Because as an actor, you have to know that you're the one who decides what you sell, because you're the one that has to go in there and sell it.
Right. One of the interesting things about filmmaking and being an actor and a filmmaker is that at the end of the day, if a project is good or bad, it's not often that the filmmakers behind the scene actually get the credit for it. It relies heavily on the actor. Whatever your goals are in terms of the type of work that you want to do, the types of material that you'd like to develop, that you are sending the right message, and it's something that you can stand behind and be proud of.